everyone, I'm Laura and welcome to my Arts and Crafts channel. This week I used a couple of different pouring techniques to create an octopus emerging from the deep. I did this in 3 steps, ending with embellishments by using my paintbrush. Okay, let's paint. First, I have to mix my paints and get them to a consistency that's easy for a hairdryer or a blowout. Here I was originally going to use Prussian Blue, but I realised that I didn't have enough, so I mixed up my own custom colour using Prussian Blue, Primary Blue, a touch of Mars Black and a bit of deep turquoise. I mixed the colours thoroughly together until I got this hue. Then I just add water. I let the water run down the side of the cup to try and reduce the amount of air bubbles, only adding a little bit at a time and mixing the paints together until I get a quite watery thin consistency. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of the consistency that I'm looking for. And these are the colours I've mixed up, so titanium white, deep turquoise, primary blue, that dark navy colour I mixed, and Payne's grey. Then I just tape off the area where I don't want the paint to go. Then it's time to start layering my paints. I start off with the deep turquoise, then the primary blue, then the navy mix that I made, and then Payne's grey. To give the illusion of depth, I want the lighter hues, such as the turquoise and the primary blue, to be closest to the diamond, and the darker hues to be closer to the outside of the canvas. Then I come in with my little chef's blowtorch to pop any excess bubbles that are still in the paint. And then I use my hairdryer just to push the paint around the canvas to where I want it to go, kind of like using a paintbrush. Once I'm happy, I come in with a few drops of white to add some highlights near the diamond. I just use a straw to kind of blend it out into the rest of the blowout. Then I just go over it one more time with the blowtorch. Here I'm running my fingers along the sides of the canvas to make sure the sides are covered. And then it's time to remove the tape and let everything dry overnight. Before I can begin the acrylic swipe, I have to mix up the paints first. I wanted to make a kind of red-violet colour, so I used Quinacridone Magenta, I hope I said that right, and deep violet and mixed them together. I think I mixed about 3 parts of the magenta to 1 part of deep violet. And this is the hue I ended up with. This is my pouring medium. It's about 60% PVA glue mixed with 40% water, and I add it to the paint mix in about a 1:1 ratio. Like with the water, I'm adding it a bit at a time to try and avoid air bubbles. This is the consistency I'm looking for. It's quite a bit thicker, and that's because I'm using the swipe technique rather than a hairdryer. So I've mixed up copper, my red-violet mix, deep violet, aqua, and titanium white. And I want lots of cells, so I add a few drops of silicone. I want this part to be quite a bit darker, so I use a Mars black base and I spread it around just using my paddle pop stick. And then I'm just making a bunch of colour puddles really. I didn't want it to be too dark, so I ended up adding a dash of white. I make a small layer of the Mars black and then I grab a paper hand towel, spray it with water so that it's damp, not wet, and then drag that black colour over the colour puddles. I tilt until I'm happy with what I've got, and then I use the Mars black to mark out where some of the tentacles are going to go. I'm periodically using the torch just to encourage some cell growth. Once I've let everything dry, it's time to come paint in some details. I just use a dark colour, in this case Payne's grey, to mark out some shapes of where the octopus is going to go. Then I block out the brightest highlights. I start putting in the detail for bigger features such as the eye. Then I just go back and forth putting in shadows and highlights until the octopus starts to take form. For this, I'm using a combination of Mars black, Payne's grey, and titanium white, as well as using darker versions of the swipe colours that I'd used earlier to create that shape. I focused a lot of my attention on the tentacles themselves, so the rounded shapes of the, I guess, little suction cups, that probably took me the longest. And I really wanted to give them dimension, so I used a combination of white, Payne's grey, and a mix of Payne's grey and white to try and give that illusion of depth. And then I wanted to paint the border of the diamond that I'd initially tried to create. Masking tape is really good for this because when you peel it off, you get a really nice straight line. Then I'm just spending some time going through layering the gold until I get a really nice opaque colour. Acrylics are a medium that dry really fast, which makes it really easy to layer. I peeled the tape off, but unfortunately I peeled it off just a bit too fast, so I ended up having to touch up a lot of the edges. And then I just did the same thing to the other side, making sure that the border went behind the tentacles to help with the illusion of the octopus emerging from it. And then I just did the same thing of layering the gold over and over until I got that opaque colour. And this time I learnt my lesson and peeled the tape off very, very slowly. And then I'm just adding some final shadows and highlights to the piece, including the border, before I finish. And this is the finished piece. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I love how there's just so much movement in this painting. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to, and thanks for watching.